Hey everyone, I had a really nice response from a number of you around the video I put up on growth and this idea of growing into your tattoos as opposed to outgrowing your tattoos. And so I thought I'd just expand on that a little bit before I start my day and see if there's anything else that's valuable in massaging that conversation a little bit, that idea. So the thing about growth, a lot of the time that gets overlooked, is that it's uncomfortable, or that it requires you to change. And a lot of the time, the position that we're in, the version of ourselves that we're in, is comfortable, or it's familiar, it's known. So a lot of the time, moving into a version of ourselves, be that through a physical change in a tattoo, or through some awareness in how it is that we're showing up and responding to the world, or even things like physical strength, it's uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar and it requires us to do something that's new, to do something we haven't acclimatized to, something that's unknown to us. If we want expansion, we're going to be stretched, right? If we want refinement, there's going to be an abrasion that removes the texture or the burrs or the thing that's there that needs refinement. The classic analogy of this is the person that prays for strength. Like, how do you get stronger? You lift heavy things. So you get given the burden of carrying something so that your prayer for strength, or your request, can actually eventuate. So tattooing is inevitably a process of change. Physically you're changing, and that's opening a door into change through all of the different layers of your being, emotionally and psychologically and spiritually as well. So there's a reciprocal change or transformation taking place, paralleling the physical one all the time, whether we're aware of it or not. So if we prioritize growth and change, if we come into a tattoo of getting tattooed in a way where we're saying, hey, I want to grow, I want to move towards a particular version of myself, or I want to move away from a version of myself, then inevitably in that process there's going to be some discomfort. So it's not easy, and I think that can catch a lot of people off guard. And circling back to the original video that I put up around approaching your tattoos in a way that you can grow into them opposed to outgrow them, this is a distinction that's really important to catch and to recognize, that might help deepen your understanding of this sensation of growth and change and how it lands. So instant gratification, or getting something that is exactly what we want in the moment, a lot of the time is reinforcing where we currently are and what we know. And so it feels good in that moment, but with the inevitable growth and movement away from where you are that comes with just living a life, let alone an intentional life, you're going to outgrow that point in time. You're going to outgrow that version of yourself. If you want to be green and growing, you're going to have to humbly contradict yourself at some point and move away from where you are. Whereas a tattoo that is something that's expansive, something that's calling you to move towards a better version of yourself, a path of change and growth and betterment, then it's going to maybe be a bit baggy. It's maybe going to feel a bit different to where you currently are. It's going to be something that challenges you and questions you to assess what this thing is that you've now received and you're moving towards embodying in the best way that you can. And so that's the process. At Tattoo Pathway, we talk about this passage between when you receive a tattoo, and whether it's like a one-shot tattoo, or whether it's this like larger process you're in that requires multiple sessions, dropping into that process time and time again in a process of constructing it, there's these passages, which is the time in between actually getting tattooed, where a lot of this process plays out, where a lot of the feelings and the introspection, the contemplation plays out internally and externally. There seems to be a process where there's some type of dialogue that's taking place in your internal experience, and then how you're being received and how you're viewing the world. And it's not always easy. So that's why we've got the as solid a framework as we can. It's a working model, but something that's meant to support, create some type of buoyancy, some type of structure for people as they move through this process. That's our framework. Anyway, happy to talk more about it to anyone that's keen. For those of you that have reached out and said you really, you got something out of that conversation in the first video, this idea of growing into your tattoos, I'm happy to expand on that in any sort of direction that people have, if you want to leave questions. And yeah, just share these videos and thoughts if you think there's someone that might get something out of it, or just generally into the echo chamber of the social media space if it resonates. And yeah, appreciate you all, and talk soon.